Hi there, I'm the Witch of Roses, and this is my first video. I'm going to do this a lot more often, is where I will paint or draw or do something like that art thing, and maybe tell you like a scary story, and that's what I'm doing today. I want to make a series that's called Your State is Creepy, and I'm gonna go in like an alphabetical order kind of thing, and today I'm starting with Alabama. I'm doing Sloss furnaces. Also, before I jump into this video, the drawing that I'm creating today and the painting that I'm creating today is to spread awareness for what happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd. I really think it needs to stop, and yeah, so that is why I am painting what I'm painting today. So without further ado, let's get into the scary story. Okay, Sloss furnaces ran from 1882 to 1971. It was it was a plant that transformed coal and ore into hard steel, and it was actually a very big part of the Industrial Revolution when it was opened in 1882. In the early 1900s, James Slag Wormwood was the foreman of what was called the graveyard shift that ran between sunset and sunrise, so like they would work all night long. There were 150 workers kept on keeping the furnace fed, not Fred. I cannot English today, I'm sorry. During the summer months, the furnaces would reach over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 48 degrees Celsius. I chicken out and start wanting to jump in a pool at 80 degrees, so I could not even imagine. To impress his supervisors, Wormwood, remember him, James Slag, to impress his supervisors, Wormwood would actually force his workers to take dangerous risks that made them speed up production. There were no breaks or vacation days, and usually the people that worked in this furnace were immigrants, and they were not wealthy, and those who worked on the graveyard shift were even less wealthy. In October of 1906, James lost his footing and fell into one of the hottest furnaces, known as Big Alice. That is a name. After this, the hauntings began. There are three major things that happened in these furnaces that were insane, but there were 100 cases of paranormal activity that were reported here. I'm just going to read off three of the biggest ones, and then I'll get into a few smaller ones. So, in 1926, a night watchman is pushed from behind and told to get back to work. He actually sustained a few injuries, but when he got up, he turned around and no one was there. He checked almost the entire furnace, and there was no one who could have pushed him. Alright, it starts off small and it gets a lot more intense. And then in 1947, 3 supervisors went missing that were in the furnace, and they are found locked and unconscious in a boiler room. All of them they were alive. All of them couldn't remember how they got there, but were ordered to push some steel by a badly burned man. That was the last thing that they all remembered, and they all agreed that that was what happened. And this man, a lot of people think, was the ghost of Wormwood. In 1971, and this is the craziest event The night before the plant closed for good, Samuel Blumenthal, the Sloss night watchman, was taking his last look around the plant when he saw something absolutely terrifying. He described it as an evil half-man, half-demon who tried to push him up the stairs. When the creature failed, he beat Blumenthal where he was taken to a doctor, and after the examination by Dr. Jack Barlow, Blumenthal had severe burns and ended up dying, but he was never burned. He was just beaten by this half-man, half-demon thing that he described, which also people think was Slag Wormwood, his ghost. I think, and this is just my belief, is that he didn't have any like weird features. He must have just been burned so badly that he would look like half man, half demon. That's just what I think. Alright, and then in 1988, after the plant has closed, a study was conducted by the Center for Paranormal Events in St. Petersburg. This was in Florida, but the group came all the way to Alabama to investigate. There were no events that were out of the ordinary, but 2 psychics claimed that due to the violent disregard for and loss of life, Sloss furnaces would be considered a location rife with restlessness of souls. That's actually a direct quote, and it is quite the intense one. In the year 2000, the paranormal team of Fox's Scariest Places concluded that it was one of the highest rates from paranormal energy that they had ever seen, and this goes for a lot of paranormal groups. It was the craziest amount of energy and amount of like ghost footage that they had ever seen. And in 2002, and this team was actually quite skeptical, and it wasn't a paranormal team, it was actually from CBS, and it was an investigative like journalism kind of deal. They investigated the furnaces and left terrified with so much video evidence of ghosts, and I believe you could probably still look that up and see what it was. In 2003, another paranormal team called the Alabama Foundation for Paranormal Research said, and this is a direct quote, "There is no doubt Sloss is a hotspot for paranormal activity. During our investigations, we pulled data that confirms through our scientific methods an approach that energies are present and cannot be explained." Sloss is one of the most paranormally active places our team has ever investigated. On October 4th, 2003, Josh Thomas, who was part of that team, who formerly worked in the furnace. I'm sorry, English is out the window for me today. He suddenly caught on fire after seeing a strange shape, and he suffered severe burns. Remember the guy Samuel Blumenthal who got badly burned and died after claiming to be beaten by a half-man, half-demon? Well, that was the 32nd anniversary of that happening when Josh Thomas was burned, and he actually lived, and he didn't get it as bad as Blumenthal did, but he still was badly burned. In 2005, 2 psychic investigators went to Sloss furnaces, and in the middle of recording, one began to spontaneously bleed from the hand. And that is the Sloss furnaces for you. You will see a part 2 of the drawing when it was finished. Hope you all have a lovely day, and goodbye.